There are stories we tell ourselves about safety, that the system works, that the police will protect us, that court orders matter. But in Tamarack, Florida, those beliefs shattered in a shower of gunfire, and the fallout in Broward County has been intense. One woman, Mary Gingles, saw the danger coming. She called for help again and again, and yet the people sworn to protect her looked away until it was too late. This is a story of love gone toxic, warnings ignored, and a family destroyed. Today we are talking about the Tamarack triple murder. I'm your host, Stacy Lee. Let's begin. Mary Catherine Gingles was born on December 22, 1990 in Mountain View, California, a winter baby with a quiet strength. Her early life carried her across the country to Missouri, where she graduated from Roya High School in 2009. To those who knew her then, she wasn't just smart, she was driven. By 2016, Mary held a degree in ceramic engineering from the Missouri University of Science and Technology. A career in the sciences was at her fingertips, but Mary wanted more. She wanted to serve. In 2016, Mary joined the U.S. Army, and she rose to the rank of captain. She never deployed overseas, but she carried the discipline, the rigor, the pride of service. Friends recall Mary as the kind of soldier who always volunteered for the hard work. She was always dependable, her colleagues trusted her, and when she left the Army in 2020, she continued to carry that identity: soldier, leader, and protector. But the title Mary cherished most was mother. In 2021, she gave birth to Seraphine, her daughter. Just 4 years old at the time of this story, bright-eyed, curious, innocent, Seraphine was Mary's light. Every photo shows it. Mary's smile is widest when Seraphine is in her arms. But Mary's marriage to Nathan Gingles was a battlefield of its own. Nathan was also military, an Army captain, deployed to Afghanistan from 2013 to 2014. On paper, they were equals: disciplined, high-achieving, and patriotic. But behind closed doors, Nathan's temper was volcanic. Mary would later tell the courts that he was heavily armed, obsessed with guns, and quick to rage. She lived in a fear that Nathan was going to kill her. And so, in February of 2024, Mary filed for divorce. A declaration of independence, a line in the sand. But divorces are never clean. A lot of us know that, especially not when one partner is determined to control the other. Mary began calling the police. The first calls documented come from early 2024. She told cops that Nathan was stalking her, that he was violating restraining orders, and that he was threatening to kill her. Deputies came, they listened, sometimes they filed reports, but there was never an arrest. In February of 2024, the divorce petition went through. In it, Mary spelled out Nathan's arsenal of semi-automatic rifles, silencers, caches of ammunition. She stated in the court documents, "Nathan will use these weapons against me," but the system treated it like paperwork, not prophecy. Later that month, another domestic violence report was filed. Again, the threat was logged, but no action was taken. By October 2024, Nathan's obsession had escalated. Mary discovered a GPS tracker hidden on her car. Imagine that. Every trip to the grocery store, every visit with a friend, every attempt to live her life, monitored by someone she did not want in her life. She goes back to the sheriff's office, terrified. Deputies note it again, but again, Nathan walks free. In December of 2024, Mary called the police again. This time, she says Nathan is threatening to kill her. Deputies spend more than 30 minutes with Mary. She explains, she pleads, she tells them about his weapons and his threats. She is crystal clear. He is going to kill me. And yet, when that meeting ends, Nathan is not in handcuffs. He is not charged. He goes home. Trying to dial down my inner rage. We all know all too well that you pretty much have to get killed when you're telling someone, I'm going to get killed. Finally, in late December 2024, a judge granted a restraining order. Under Florida law, that should have meant Nathan's weapons were seized. And for a brief time, deputies did collect some guns. But weeks later, they returned them. And not all of them had even been taken in the first place. Think about the terror knowing your abuser, the man you fear most, is not only free, but he is armed. Mary told friends she was sure Nathan would kill her. She knew time was running out, and she knew the clock was ticking. She could not get anyone to listen. And then, February 16th, 2025, the day the storm finally broke. But before we get to that tragic morning, let's sit with this for a moment. Mary did everything she was told to do. She called the police, she filed paperwork, she went to court, she got restraining orders, she followed the system. And yet, when Nathan came, no one was there to stop him. It was just before dawn on February 16th, 2025, in the Tamarack neighborhood of Plum Bay. Houses lined the canals, palms swayed gently, and life looked ordinary. But behind one of those doors, an estranged husband was preparing to unleash carnage. 64-year-old David Ponzer, Mary's father, sat on the back patio that morning enjoying his coffee. He was a grandfather, a retired man, someone who had uprooted himself to be near his daughter and little granddaughter. Oh, goodness. A man who had taken on the quiet role of protector, filling the gaps Nathan left in his duty as husband and father. But as David sipped his coffee, Nathan appeared. In seconds, the peace shattered. Gunfire cracked the air. David collapsed, fatally shot in his own backyard. Mary heard the gunfire, and she knew. She knew. Instinct screamed at her, run. She grabbed Seraphine and fled across the street. A neighbor, 36-year-old Andrew Ferrin, opened his door to her. Andrew was a man who worked in IT, known to friends as reliable, always ready to lend a hand. On that morning, he was doing what good neighbors do, answering a knock on the door, offering safety. But Nathan was right behind Mary. Nathan pulled the trigger again. Mary fell. Andrew fell. Both shot dead, just steps inside that doorway. Amidst the chaos, Seraphine was ripped from her mother's arms. Nathan took her as his prize. A 4-year-old girl, suddenly motherless, grandfatherless, traumatized. Nathan fled into the morning with Seraphine clutched in his grasp. I have seen these images of Seraphine running around after Nathan. I have had many little girls this age in my life of teaching dance and in my own family. They are just babies still at this point, and to think about what this little girl went through and what she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life, it is how someone can do this to anyone but to their own child, you know? The Amber Alert was issued. The neighborhood swarmed with deputies, crime scene tape, confusion, 3 lives already gone, and a little girl missing. Hours later, Nathan was spotted at a Walmart in North Lauderdale. Seraphine, unharmed but terrified, was with him. Deputies moved in. The chase ended not in a shootout, but in handcuffs.
And our team coverage turns now to North Lauderdale, where that 4-year-old was actually found.
And Local 10's Terrell Forney is live at the scene with all of the latest. Terrell, what have you learned?
Well, this was quite the scene for shoppers who just showed up to this Walmart for just a little bit of shopping, but they unknowingly found themselves in the middle of a crime scene and a very complex investigation here. Part of this parking lot roped off as detectives worked this area, and that 4-year-old girl was found safe. Not long after a statewide Amber Alert was issued over the whereabouts of 4-year-old Seraphine Gingles, BSO's Viper units honed in on this Walmart shopping center on West McNabb Road in North Lauderdale. Here, deputies found the actual BMW X3 with Texas license plates. That was the focus of the alert, believed to be the one used in the young girl's kidnapping.
She was safe and unharmed. Deputies also located Nathan Gingles.
The arrest was made a short time later. 43-year-old Nathan Gingles in custody, and his estranged wife also pronounced dead from a gunshot wound back in that Tamarack neighborhood where it all began. Court records show the former couple had been in and out of the courtroom over the past year over child custody arrangements and domestic violence accusations. And just 3.5 weeks ago, a judge granted Mary Gingles an extension on a restraining order that she filed against Nathan. And so far, again, Nathan Gingles has just been charged in connection with violating that protective order. Detectives at this point not ruling out more charges to be filed down the road. As for that unit with the Broward Sheriff's Office that honed in on that man and that 4-year-old girl in that vehicle, VIPER is an acronym that stands for Violence Intervention Proactive Enforcement Response. That team being credited for putting an end to this statewide Amber Alert. We are live in North Lauderdale. Terrell Fournay, Local 10 News.
Nathan Allen Gingles, once a decorated Army captain, now accused of being a murderer, a kidnapper, and the very monster Mary had warned us all about.
All right, Cyber, thank you. We're also seeing some new body cam footage from a VSO deputy after a tragedy in Tamarack.
It shows the arrest of the suspect accused of killing his estranged wife, her father, and a neighbor back in February. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live in Tamarack with the video. Roy.
Janice and Christy, it's hard to forget that chilling video of the suspect walking through this neighborhood with his 4-year-old daughter in his hand as he hunted down his estranged wife, ultimately killing her and 2 others. He did flee from this area and was later found by Broward Sheriff deputies at a Walmart parking lot in North Lauderdale. Video we just obtained shows that takedown.
I got hands! I got hands! We got Hey, give me cuffs.
Newly obtained body-worn camera video from the Broward Sheriff's Office captures the moments 43-year-old Nathan Gingles was taken into custody in a Walmart parking lot.
Don't you move, dude. I'm gonna get shot. I'm not resisting.
The takedown all came after a horrific tragedy unfolded inside this Tamarack neighborhood when investigators said Gingles killed his estranged wife, Mary Gingles, her father, and neighbor, all while his 4-year-old daughter, Seraphine, watched her father go on this violent rampage.
We need to do an amazing search of this guy. Belt comes off, dump every pocket, make sure you do a good search.
Court records document a troubled marriage, detailing allegations of abuse and Mary's fear of her husband, believing he would kill her and her daughter one day.
Can we check with homicide, see if they're ready for this guy to be transported to the PSB?
She filed multiple restraining orders, and during the second one filed just last December, it was uncovered Gingles was still in possession of his weapons.
Nathan was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder for Mary, for her father David, and for her neighbor Andrew. He was also charged with kidnapping, violating a restraining order, and child abuse. Oh, now you're going to charge him with violating a restraining order. That's perfect. I know our police have a lot on their plates. There's no excuse for this. Prosecutors signaled they would pursue the death penalty. Nathan, in his first court appearance, pled not guilty.
Well, we have been moved back from the crime scene. BSO told us this afternoon that they're going back into the house where the first murder occurred to look for more evidence. And we have been uncovering additional details about what this couple was going through in the months leading up to these murders. A neighbor left flowers in front of the homes where 3 people were murdered before the sun rose Sunday in Tamarack.
We're just a community. It's very sad what happened here.
The man accused of killing the 3 went to Bog Court Tuesday, facing 10 charges. In addition to 3 counts of murder, Nathan Gingles is charged with kidnapping and violating a domestic violence protection order. The judge set no bond on the murder charges, $2 million on the additional charges.
Additionally, Your Honor, the state believes that Mr. Gingles, should he be eligible for release at some point, poses a significant flight risk, noting the potential consequences he faces if convicted of these charges, but also including, but not limited to, the alleged statements he made in the presence of his daughter regarding leaving to the state of Texas.
Sunday morning, detectives say Gingles came to the home where his wife, Mary Gingles, was living. He's accused of shooting her father there, David Ponzer, on the back patio. Ponzer was likely startled. According to an arrest warrant, the victim was on the ground and appeared to be clutching the handle of a coffee cup and a lighter. Detectives say they also found a domestic violence injunction order lying on the kitchen table. Detectives say Gingles chased after his estranged wife, Mary, following her to a neighbor's home where he killed her and the neighbor, Andrew Ferrin. Surveillance shows Gingles then casually walking his 4-year-old daughter away from the crime scene. The 4-year-old was found unharmed a few hours later. On Facebook, friends of Mary Gingles described her as having a huge heart and a light that shone bright. The couple was going through a contentious divorce. Mary Gingles filed for a protective domestic violence order a year ago, writing, because of Nathan's psychotic behavior, his multiple silencer firearms, and impending divorce, I'm afraid he will kill me. She went on to say, I am willing to submit to psychological testing and believe it necessary Nathan do the same. In court, it appeared the judge agreed.
And I'm granting the request for the photo order, the medical screening, and the mental health screening.
Sadly, detectives say the 4-year-old did witness all of the murders. She is in state custody while they try to figure out where she should be placed temporarily. I did try to contact Mary Gingles' family in Missouri, where she has roots. I did reach a sister in New Jersey who told me she had no comment at this time. Reporting in Tamarack tonight, Joan Murray.
Mary's warnings had come true, her prophecy fulfilled in the worst way, and now the system that failed her scrambled to explain why. The Broward County Sheriff's Office admitted what many already knew. They failed Mary Gingles. Sheriff Gregory Toney said it outright. We fell short. That's putting it mildly. Deputies had chance after chance to intervene. They could have arrested Nathan in December when he threatened Mary's life. They could have seized his weapons fully when the restraining order demanded it. They could have treated her calls with urgency. Instead, hesitation and half measures gave Nathan time to act. The fallout was swift and refreshing. 7 deputies were suspended. Lieutenant Michael Paparella, Sergeant Travis Allen, Sergeant Devone Williams, Deputy Alani Caballos, Deputy Brittany King, Deputy Joseph Sasso, Deputy Daniel Munoz, all linked to Mary's case. Their failure to enforce the restraining order, their reluctance to act decisively, their mishandling of domestic violence calls were all placed under a harsh spotlight, but it got worse. As the investigation deepened, 6 deputies were fired and 11 more were disciplined. Careers collapsed overnight. Some were demoted, stripped of rank. Others lost their jobs entirely. Sheriff Toney said the decisions were painful but necessary. But for Mary's family, it was too late. Accountability now was just salt in the wound.
Developing right now, the investigation into the handling of a triple murder in Tamarack is now complete. And today, we're learning several deputies were disciplined after that case. And this all comes months after Nathan Gingle opened fire at a Tamarack home and then kidnapped his daughter.
And today, Broward County's top cop has some choice words for the terminated deputies. Local 10's Roy Ramos live now at BSO headquarters with what Sheriff Toney had to say. Roy.
Yeah, and the sheriff even calling one of his deputies' actions cowardly. He says this wasn't a systemic failure. This wasn't a need for change in policy. This was a lack of common sense and a lack of his deputies doing what he's trained them for.
We had every opportunity to save that woman's life.
Broward County Sheriff Gregory Toney not mincing words at a press conference Friday as he announced the termination of 6 deputies and the suspension of 13 others. The action taken all the result of how his deputies responded to a fatal shooting in Tamarack back in February.
Anyone carrying a badge and gun who think that's acceptable, you have the ability to resign today.
While there were failures that led up to the triple murder that stemmed from domestic violence, the sheriff showing us in this timeline and video how his deputies should have done more. Nathan Gingles' steps depicted where he killed his father-in-law David Ponzer, then makes his way into the home of his wife Mary.
Mary and both of her daughter are inside the residence, was able to escape momentarily.
As she runs for her life to a neighbor's home, the sheriff said his deputies had already received a 911 call from a neighbor, but instead, his deputies chose to stage or rally nearby as Mary and her neighbor Andrew Ferrin were murdered.
A couple units bypassed the residency and took a staging position per the sergeant's instruction and decided to rally out there. That's not within policy, that's not within procedures, that's not what we train.
Ferrin's uncle reacting into the internal affairs investigation, now closed.
It doesn't bring my nephew back. Mistakes were making and lives were lost. I'm glad that there is accountability, but is it going to change anything?
And I also did get a chance to speak with the union president that represents those deputies who were terminated. He says while there were failures, no one deserved to lose their job, and all 6 of those cases will now be heard in arbitration. I'll have more on that coming up on Local 10 at 4. For now, outside of BSO headquarters near Fort Lauderdale, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Mary's family buried her with military honors. Her obituary spoke of her adventurous spirit, a certified scuba diver, a spelunker, a runner, a woman who lived with courage. Her father, David, was remembered as kind, steady, protective. Andrew Ferrin, the neighbor, was honored as a man who opened his door to help and paid with his life. And Seraphine, the little girl at the center of this storm, was placed in the custody of relatives, a child who lost her mother, her grandfather, her sense of safety, all in one morning. Her future now rests in the hands of family who will try to give her the stability Mary fought for but could not secure. The Tamarack triple murder isn't just another domestic violence case. It's a haunting reminder that warnings are only as strong as the people willing to act on them. Mary followed every rule, filed every paper, made every call, and the system answered with hesitation. And in that hesitation, Nathan found his moment. 3 lives ended, a community scarred, and a department disgraced. These cops sat around while these calls came in and did nothing. Is it just me, or does it feel like we hear Broward County Sheriff's Department a lot in the true crime community? I know it's not just me because I watch the same stuff you guys do and I hear it all the time. This is the tragedy of Mary Gingles, a soldier, a mother, a daughter, and a friend. A woman who saw the storm coming, who shouted her warning into the void and was left to face it alone. I want to send love to everyone who lost Mary and David. I want to send love to everyone who lost Andrew. And to the people who are taking care of Seraphine, I want you to know that there are a lot of us thinking about you and cheering you on as you give her the best life possible. Oh, what a dark story. Thank you for joining me today on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. I sure appreciate ya. This is my podcast. It's on Apple and Spotify. I post brand new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. And remember, I've got a new podcast coming as well. This is our fundraiser. I have a playlist on the channel called Fundraisers. If you've got $5 or $10, it's a good cause. You can watch the video. It will give you all the details. It's my favorite time of year, spooky season. I love it so much. I'm watching horror movies every day and making soup and writing stories. We got to find the little things that we enjoy right now, right? Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other. And I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.